Yes.
Just give me a signal.
Carl?
Okay.
Carl?
At this point, we will open the meeting to open session. We've just exited executive session, which was for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining issues. So at this point, I will seek public input. Seeing nobody to make public input, we have Mary Ann here tonight from the transcript as our only public.
She's press, she's not public.
We'll actually move to the next item, and at this time, we're going to move one item up on the agenda, which is to discuss the new North Reading High School athletic fields. And to discuss that with us tonight, we have Mr. John Bernard and Mr. Dave Johnson from the high school. So if you could come up to the table, please. And probably the best way is for, I don't know, Kathy or for them to lay out the situation.
Sure. Very briefly, I'll just frame it. The original plans for the North Reading High School athletic fields called for a multipurpose field and a softball field at the lower end of the site, and there's been a diagram that's been included in your packet. And so last spring, the Secondary School Building Committee discussed replacing the softball field with a small baseball field to be used primarily for JV and freshman baseball practice, and this was based on the fact that the current baseball practice field behind the middle school has been eliminated due to the construction process. So Mr. Bernard and Mr. Johnson are here to talk about the recommendation to make that a small baseball field rather than a softball field.
Just one comment too. That field is eliminated permanently behind the middle school, correct? That'll never be coming back because it's
Never.
going to be a parking lot back
That's
there, correct?
correct.
Okay. All right. So John or Dave, if you want to.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think, as Mrs. Willis said, at her request, Dave and I got together, and Dave, I want to give credit to Dave. He did a lot of the work on this, speaking to folks about how might a baseball field serve the purposes of both the school department and the community, given the fact that a baseball field is going to be lost permanently. It appears as though there is a strong desire for that field now to become a baseball field. The memo that Mr. Johnson prepared, and I believe you all have a copy of,
You have it in front of you.
essentially details Mr. Johnson's conversations with our two current coaches of baseball and softball, and their belief that a baseball field would be sensible. I think they also see that there is something to be achieved by meeting the needs that the community might have beyond just the school department's needs for its athletic programs. Coach Russell of the softball team, whom I know you all know, he likes the situation at the little school with the fields being able to accommodate the various levels of his program. Truth be told, the baseball diamond, if it were to be constructed, is not a full-fledged, full-sized field, but it is believed that it can accommodate what the needs are of lower-level type baseball programs, not necessarily, say, the varsity level or senior league programs. We also asked Rita Mullen of the Parks and Recreation Committee to weigh in on this because, as you all know, Rita has attended meetings of the Secondary School Building Committee, is very instrumental in serving the needs of the community as far as Parks and Recreation go. And she, I think, like Dave and like I, understand that ideally we would like to have a softball field at the high school. I mean, as the principal of the high school, I said long ago that I felt as though it was appropriate to offer my opinion that I would like to have our varsity program on site at the high school, as many other programs would be. But in the end, I understand and I see the sense that it makes to reconfigure this to accommodate baseball programs. And Rita Mullen essentially offers that same opinion in the email that was dated July the 12th. So I'm not so sure that if you're looking for an opinion from us or a recommendation, and I certainly want to give Dave an opportunity maybe to add to what maybe I've said, but we're here tonight to answer any questions to the best of our ability that you might have, and if it's necessary that you want us to make a recommendation, I'm certainly prepared to do that as the high school principal. So.
Gary?
Mr. Chairman, this has come up now repeatedly over the last several months, intermittently over the last several months at the Secondary School Building Committee meetings. And what I wanted to do was find out what the recommendation of the administration, the athletic director, the principal, and the superintendent was before the secondary school building committee went off and made a decision. Obviously, they can vote on this any way they want, but I think they should have a recommendation from the school committee. And I think we need to get our information from our administrators as to
I
which way
agree.
we're gonna go with this.
I wanted to raise two issues. One of them I spoke with Superintendent Willis about today, and I don't think it rises to this level. But the Concord Carlisle project had been put on hold. I don't know if it's been resumed yet. They wanted 2 gymnasiums, and MSBA said we will not pay for 2 gymnasiums. However, they said if you want to pay for another gymnasium, but it cannot be connected in any way with the high school project, it has to be, you can build that. So that was the plan. And then somehow, when the plan got done and it got sent to MSBA, the 2 gyms were connected, and MSBA put the project on hold.
That's a good example.
Now,
for
I don't
this.
think changing from a softball field to a baseball field rises to that level. However, my concern is, and I don't know if we told did we tell the MSBA this was going to be a softball field? I don't think we did we? And will that even make a
Recall
difference?
that it was that specific. I just don't recall.
And the diagram is not labeled
Yeah,
as
the
a
diagram
baseball
doesn't say
or a
anything. It just
softball
has
field.
dugouts.
In your packet.
I don't think it rises to that level, but I'm just sensitive to.
But if it becomes one, I think obviously if we take a vote tonight, we do it with a caveat. And I think any vote we take would be a recommendation that we give to the secondary school building committee.
Right.
But you could put the condition on it that obviously as long as it's not in violation of any MSBA, requirements.
And 2 other issues I had.
Could I add something to
Yeah, go
that,
ahead.
to Mr. Venezia's point? I think Brad Dorr is very aware of this discussion too. I would think that if he saw that it might pose a
Okay.
potential problem with the MSBA, he would have raised that.
Okay.
But I do think Mr. Venezia's comment about maybe a condition of it,
Right.
that it doesn't compromise anything, is a good
Right.
one.
So the concerns I have, I'm sure Dave Johnson is I see 230 feet, which is essentially 30 or 40 feet bigger than a Little League field.
Hit his pack.
So I don't see how we can play games there, even freshmen. Second thing is, I think we're going to have to erect a pretty high fence and screen there because in practice, there's going to be a lot of balls. I don't know what's behind it, so that's. But even people walking behind there, I see a potential for injury because there's going to be a lot of balls flying out of there, I think.
There's a slope all around the outside
In the back.
in the back, and there's the building, the wastewater building.
So no one would be walking back
I don't
there,
think
or
there's going to be anything back
Right.
there at all.
behind the fence.
Pretty remote chance that anybody be
Okay.
back. In fact, if you took the fence out and kind of like let the balls go and didn't care where the home run line was.
oh, I see. If you didn't have a fence, yeah, I get you. Yeah.
It's a much bigger field.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr.
That was my third question. There's no way to enlarge this field at all.
I don't think so.
Because
I don't
of the
believe so.
slope.
No.
You can see on the left side of the diagram.
I see the slope. Yeah.
It says slope.
Yeah.
That's a 2-on-1 slope.
okay.
That means it rises.
That's a pretty fast.
You
Yeah.
know, for every 2 feet,
Every 2
it
feet
goes
going a
up
foot.
That's
Yeah.
fairly steep.
Yeah.
So anything you hit out there is going to land on the slope and roll back.
Okay.
They don't indicate what the slope is for the rest of it back there, but there is a slope.
Okay.
And again, if you took that fence down and left it unrestricted, you wouldn't know whether it was a home run or not, but it's a bigger field.
I mean, I've got no problem with it, Mel, except for the same thing that you cited, the 230 feet seems to be
Yeah.
relatively small to me, as long as it's going to be functional. I have no problem with it. I'm glad that they consulted with the baseball and the softball coach, because that's really what I was concerned with. You know, that they put their heads together with the athletic director and the principal. So I've got no problem. Like I said, I think it's going to be a little restricted as to what they can do there.
I can see it for practice. But do you think they'll play games there, Dave?
I think there's the potential,
Freshman games,
freshman level games,
Yeah.
8th grade. I think it'd be good for, a lot of times, when Frank has a varsity game, you see the 7th and 8th graders that are coming up to play the game after, and sometimes those games run long.
Right.
And, sometimes they don't get them all in at times. I do see this as a practice facility that we can be used as games at the lower level. We still have the Hood School. A big piece of my concern is, just how are kids getting to practices? When they go to a softball practice, all 3 levels, the girls have always been very good about, you know, carpooling over there, realizing I got to ride as a freshman or sophomore, so when I have a car as a junior or senior, you know, we help out that way. Same with parents. It's a little bit different when you have a freshman team that has to get all the way down to the hood school, and, you know, the varsity team and a lot of the JV kids might be practicing together.
Yeah.
You know, there's not that opportunity to. So I think this, you know, for the 20 games they might play on here, or 15 games, they're going to be practicing, you know, 50, 55 times, you know, through the course. So it's much more a practice facility than a game facility. But I think it can be. I mean, you know, 230 feet. I don't know. We could lead the league.
I was
in
gonna
home
say,
runs.
They're gonna set all kinds of new records here. No doubt about it.
I guess I can see 7th, 8th graders, freshmen playing there.
Yeah.
Karen?
No, it could work. I mean, the Hood School field is an excellent field.
Yeah.
But Dave's
It is a
right.
good field.
Freshmen
Yeah.
and sophomores trying to get over there is
It's a
difficult.
problem. It's a
you know,
problem,
but it's an
yeah.
excellent field.
Karen?
Yay, my turn. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's Summer. I have sort of 3 questions. And I'm happy that we're being asked for our opinion. I don't think it matters. I think it's the secondary school building
I
committee.
disagree with you entirely, Karen.
Okay.
I think the school, this is going to be a school building.
They're looking
that when
for
the
our
school
input, that's
They
building
want our
committee's
input.
through with it,
I'm just
we're
saying
going to own
I'm-
it for the next 50 years. I think we need
Wow,
to have input.
major pushback. I'm just saying I'm grateful that we're being asked for our opinion, for a consensus opinion. Whatever. Okay. So have parents been consulted on whether they're on board with this idea? Is there an expectation they have that this will be a softball field? Because I know we haven't really talked about it in public, but I don't remember whether we said it was going to be a softball field, and I don't want to have any pushback or sort of expectations that might be disappointed. So I just wanted to put that out there and ask if there's been any.
Good question.
I never
Right
really
on.
heard a lot of, you know, input from the parents that, you know, that they really want this, you know, to be a softball field. I think we heard more
Right.
that the need for it to be a baseball
Baseball,
field. We
yeah.
had that conversation a couple of times, and it wasn't so much that, you know, baseball is more important than softball, because, you know, it's, you know, not, you know, we have 2 very strong programs, 2 Hall of Fame coaches, and 2 tremendous, you know, state championship winning teams. But I think, the rationale with baseball is, you know, they are losing a field. They need to replace it some way, especially for the practice and the convenience of having it at a practice. So, I have to say I'm not sure of that, but I don't think that there's that.
Just to add to that, it's a softball field that they have over at the little school where the varsity plays. It's a beautiful field.
It's really nice.
The youth softball, working with Parks and Rec, working with the school department, has really developed a Class A facility over there. Granted, I know we have some issues with the retaining wall, which we'll be talking about later, but I think, and it seems the coaches, softball coaches and the players are happy with that because all 3 teams get to practice at once because there's 3 fields over there.
Yes, no, I
Yes,
think
so-
that's very
Raises the
clear.
But that's a good point.
The parent input. My concern would be, I don't know if anybody talked to anybody from youth softball at all, and what their expectations were.
That was
I'm
one of my
not sure,
second
but
They
questions.
like being over there. I talked with, you
you
know, Mario Perone, who's the, you know, the head of the youth softball, and some of the parents who are that are part of the varsity program now.
Yeah.
The kids have come through the youth program, and they're very proud of what they've built over there. It's been a very
did a nice job.
community-based project, and they've done a nice job, but they really like where they are.
Okay, so I just wanted to raise that as a potential
Good issue.
flag. And then, and I just want to go back to John's point about, you know, wanting to have varsity sports being played at here if at all possible. But it does not sound like that's a concern for you that our varsity softball would not be played here. Would it have ever been played on this field? It sounds like it's too small to really be, even for a softball field.
It,
It sounds
it's
like
been at the little school for
Yeah.
the last 10 to 12 years. They used to, believe it or not, play at the bat shelter.
Really?
Yeah.
Right up against Route 62 and in the bat shelter, you know that field?
That was-
comes
they
back?
played
That was
there?
their softball field.
Wow.
But I think for the last 10 or 12 years at least, it's been at the little school, maybe longer, so. And it's a nice facility,
Yeah.
and it can accommodate all 3 teams at the same time as well.
Oh, I think it's great, a good setup. I just want to make sure that our priorities are where they need to be. So, John, do you have any other
It
input?
it was important to me, the opinion of Rusty Russell and what his that was important to me because as I said a little bit ago, early on in this, that I did raise the issue on the secondary school building committee that I thought it would, I mean, we have other sports, varsity sports that don't have and will not have
course.
on-site facilities, but when I, you know, the opinion of the coach was important to me, and how his program could be serviced at the little school, could continue to be. That's important to me, so I don't see that as an issue, that the varsity softball team would not be playing at the high school,
Okay,
given that they have a suitable facility.
okay, great. And my third question is this the best use